The Grand Deception, Diddy's meteoric charade, Sean Combs, Diddy, Puff Daddy, a man of many names, a man of supposed immense power. He rose from humble beginnings, they tell us. A self-made billionaire, they parrot. But was it truly his own making, or was he an instrument? A carefully crafted persona for a much larger, darker agenda. His ascent was swift, too swift perhaps. He moved within circles of unimaginable wealth. He danced with the so-called elite. He became a symbol. But a symbol of what, precisely? Freedom, success, or was it a symbol of something far more sinister, hidden in plain sight? The glittering parties, the endless stream of accolades, all a distraction. They wanted us to see the success, the champagne wishes and caviar dreams. They needed a figurehead, someone to represent a certain kind of triumph. A triumph, however, that came with strings attached, invisible chains. His journey into the heart of the establishment was no accident. It was meticulously planned, orchestrated by forces that lurk in the shadows, forces that control the narratives, forces that decide who rises and who falls. Diddy played his part well, for a time. He embraced the role. He became the king of his own gilded cage. But cages, no matter how opulent, are still prisons, and the wardens always collect their due. His connections were legendary. He rubbed shoulders with presidents and pop stars. He moved seamlessly between worlds. The world of music, the world of fashion, the world of high finance. But these worlds are not separate, they are interconnected. Tentacles of the same global octopus. An octopus of control, an octopus of manipulation. Diddy was allowed access, he was given a seat at the table, but what was the price of that seat? What unspoken vows were made in those smoke-filled back rooms? What secrets did he become privy to? Secrets that could shatter the illusions they so desperately maintain. Secrets of the real rulers of this world. The illusion was grand. It was intoxicating for Diddy and for the masses who watched him. He was the American dream personified, they said, but dreams can turn into nightmares, especially when those dreams are built on a foundation of lies. His empire, Bad Boy Entertainment, was more than a record label. It was a conduit, a channel for influence, a way to shape culture, a way to mold minds, the music, the videos, the lifestyle, all carefully curated, all designed to serve a purpose far removed from mere entertainment. A purpose that served the elite, the true elite, the ones who pull the strings from behind the curtain. The early days of Bad Boy Records, they tell a story of raw talent, of street smarts, of a visionary entrepreneur, but is that the whole truth? Or is it a carefully constructed narrative, a myth designed to hide the real powers at play? Success in the music industry, especially at that level, is rarely accidental. It requires more than just good beats and catchy rhymes. It requires patronage. It requires an understanding with those who truly control the levers of power, those who operate beyond public scrutiny, those who decide who gets to be a star, and who remains in obscurity. Did Diddy make a pact, a deal with forces unseen? His influence grew exponentially. He became a cultural icon, a trendsetter. His every move was scrutinized, imitated. His reach extended far beyond music, fashion, fragrances, beverages. He built an empire, or so it appeared. But was it truly his empire, or was he merely a steward? A manager for assets ultimately owned by others? The shadowy elite, the architects of control, often use such figures. Frontmen, charismatic personalities to mask their own insidious operations. They grant wealth, they grant fame, but always, always there is a price that involves servitude, a price that involves silence. Consider the speed of his ascent, the sheer scale of his operations. It defied conventional logic. Unless you factor in the unseen hand, the guiding force, the network of influence that smooths the path for its chosen ones. Diddy was chosen, he was groomed, he was given the keys to a certain kingdom, a kingdom built on illusion, a kingdom designed to distract, to entertain, to pacify, while the real agenda unfolded in the shadows, the agenda of total global domination, the agenda of the Illuminati, the agenda of the ancient bloodlines that have controlled humanity for millennia. His relationships were strategic, calculated. He surrounded himself with power, with influence. He understood the game, or at least he understood the part he was meant to play. He became a nexus, a point of connection between different spheres of the elite's control system. The entertainment world, the political world, the corporate world, all intertwined, all serving the same masters. Diddy was a vital cog in this machine, a highly visible cog. But a cog nonetheless, and cogs can be replaced. Cogs can be crushed if they step out of line. This is a truth he would come to learn the hard way. Then there is Donald Trump, a figure of immense controversy, a supposed outsider, yet he too moves within these same elite circles. His connections to Diddy are not coincidental, they are significant. They speak volumes about the nature of this hidden power structure. Trump, the property magnate, Trump, the reality TV star, Trump, the president, and Diddy, the music mogul. Two seemingly different worlds, yet their paths crossed, frequently, publicly. What was the true nature of their bond? Was it mere friendship, or was it something deeper, something more transactional, something more aligned with the hidden agendas of the elite? Reports now surface, whispers become louder, allegations emerge. Trump, an alleged handler, a key figure in the elite white supremacy Illuminati. These are not casual accusations. They point to a terrifying reality, a reality where figures of immense public influence are mere puppets, controlled by a shadowy cabal, a cabal that seeks to maintain its power at any cost. Diddy's relationship with Trump, viewed through this lens, takes on a new, chilling dimension. Was Trump his mentor, his guide, or his controller? Someone tasked with keeping Diddy aligned with the grand, nefarious plan. The elite network thrives on such relationships, alliances forged in secrecy, pacts made in darkness. They use these connections to maintain control, to ensure loyalty, to enforce their will. Diddy's proximity to Trump was a sign, a symbol of his status within the hierarchy, but it was also a leash, a reminder of who truly held the power, the appearances together, the smiles for the cameras, all part of the charade, the carefully constructed public image, hiding the grim realities of control and subservience, hiding the truth about how this world is really run, and by whom. The system demands obedience. It rewards those who comply. It punishes those who stray. Did Diddy begin to stray? Did he forget his place? Did he imagine he was truly his own master? The elite do not tolerate such delusions, especially from those they have elevated. They have ways of reminding their assets of the terms of their agreement. Trump's alleged role as a handler suggests a mechanism of control, a direct link to the core of the power structure, a structure that views individuals not as people but as tools, tools to be used and discarded when necessary or brought back into line, violently if need be. For years, the facade held strong. Diddy was the epitome of success, the untouchable mogul. But behind the velvet ropes, beyond the camera flashes, darkness festered. Whispers began to circulate, rumors of a hidden life, a life starkly different from the polished image presented to the world. Stories of excess, stories of control, stories of abuse. These were not the actions of a free man. These were the hallmarks of someone deeply enmeshed in a system of corruption, a system that corrupts everything it touches, a system that demands moral compromise as its entry fee. The music industry itself is a breeding ground for such darkness, a world built on illusion and exploitation, where power is wielded with impunity, where young talents are chewed up and spat out. Suge Knight, Combs' former rival, spoke from prison. He described a toxic culture of abuse. He hinted that Combs was not an isolated case, but a product of a diseased system. A system that the elite control, a system they use to promote their values, or lack thereof. Values of materialism, decadence, and unquestioning obedience to their twisted desires. Is this the true face of hip-hop's heights? The turning points in Diddy's career are often framed as triumphs. New ventures, new successes, but were there other turning points, moments where he delved deeper into the abyss, moments where he made further compromises, Each step up the ladder of worldly success often means a step further into the clutches of the controlling forces. The pressure to maintain the image, the pressure to deliver, the pressure to obey, it takes its toll. It warps the soul. It creates monsters, or reveals the monsters that were always there, nurtured by the system itself. The elite watch. They always watch. They monitor their assets. They assess their loyalty, their compliance. When an asset becomes a liability or shows signs of independence, measures are taken. The whispers grew louder for a reason. The cracks in Diddy's mirror were not accidental. They were allowed to show, perhaps even encouraged, as a warning, as a prelude to a reckoning, a reminder that no one, no matter how famous or wealthy, is beyond their reach. The game is rigged, and the house always wins, unless humanity wakes up to the deception. Section 5, the unmasking allegations of unspeakable darkness. Then the storm broke, the facade shattered, federal charges, sex trafficking, racketeering, the accusations are horrifying, coercion, forced sexual favors, events described as freak-offs. This is not the language of glamour, this is the language of pure evil. The carefully constructed image of Sean Diddy Combs began to crumble, revealing something far uglier beneath. Something that the elite often cultivate in their chosen vessels, a darkness that mirrors their own, a depravity that serves their agendas of control and spiritual degradation. This is how they operate, this is their signature. The details emerging from the trial are deeply disturbing. They paint a picture of a man drunk on power, a man who allegedly abused his position, his influence, his wealth, to exploit and victimize others. Capricorn Clark, a former assistant, testified. She spoke of coercive control, of threats, of a concerted effort to destroy her career if she dared to leave his orbit. This is the modus operandi of the controllers: isolation, intimidation, the destruction of dissent. Diddy, if these allegations are true, was merely emulating his masters, playing out the script they had written for him, or perhaps the script they demand from all their high-level puppets. David James, another former personal assistant, recounted incidents showcasing a desperate need to display power, a need to dominate, to intimidate rivals like Suge Knight. This behavior is not strength, it is weakness. It is the fear of a man who knows he is a puppet, a man terrified of losing his position, his privileges, the illusion of control he was granted. The elite foster this kind of paranoia, this kind of aggression. It keeps their assets focused on petty squabbles, on maintaining their fragile kingdoms, while the true rulers remain untouched, unseen, directing the chaos from above. These allegations, serious as they are, serve a multifaceted purpose for the hidden hand. On one level, they expose genuine wrongdoing if proven, but on another, deeper level, they can be a tool, a weapon, a means by which the elite can discipline or discard an asset who has outlived his usefulness, or who has become too independent, too bold. The fall from grace can be as swift and brutal as the ascent was meteoric. It is a stark reminder, a message to others within the system: obey or face public destruction. Your secrets will be weaponized against you because they know all your secrets. Section 6, Puppet Masters unveiled. The Illuminati's recapture strategy. Why now? Why this public dismantling of a figure like Diddy? Is it simply justice taking its course, or is there a deeper game afoot? Consider the timing, consider the forces allegedly involved. The theory resonates with a chilling logic. This is about resubjugation, about bringing a wayward asset back under absolute control. The Illuminati, the white supremacy elites, these are not mere phantoms. They are the architects of our perceived reality. They operate through networks of power, through secret societies, through individuals placed in key positions, individuals who owe them allegiance. Diddy, for all his apparent power, was always on a leash. A long leash, perhaps, but a leash nonetheless. If he began to pull too hard, if he began to entertain thoughts of true autonomy, if he threatened to expose the system, then the leash would be yanked, hard. The sex trafficking allegations, devastating and potentially true in their own right, become the perfect instrument for this correction. They discredit him. They isolate him. They make him vulnerable. They remind him of his utter dependence on the very forces he might have sought to defy. This is how they reassert dominance. The objective is not necessarily to destroy him completely, though that remains an option. The primary goal is often recontrol, to break him, to make an example of him, to ensure that he and others like him understand the rules of the game. The rules are simple: serve the agenda, maintain the silence. Never forget who your true masters are. If Diddy is brought to his knees, stripped of his public persona, facing the abyss of lifelong imprisonment, he may become more pliable, more willing to play his assigned role, whatever that new role might be, even if it's a role played from the shadows or from a prison cell, dictating narratives as instructed. This strategy of recapture is an old one, used time and time again throughout history. Public figures who step out of line are suddenly plagued by scandals. Their careers implode, their reputations are shattered. It is a demonstration of power, a brutal public spectacle designed to instill fear, to ensure conformity. The allegations against Diddy are not just about Diddy. They are a message to everyone in the entertainment industry and beyond, a message from the puppet masters. We made you, we can break you, and we will if you dare to cross us. The game is far bigger than one man's rise or fall. Section 7. The Handler's Hand, Trump's alleged role in the Great Game. Donald Trump's name surfaces again, not merely as an associate, but as an alleged handler, a key figure within this elite control structure. This allegation, if true, illuminates the intricate machinery of manipulation. Handlers are assigned to valuable assets, to guide them, to monitor them, to ensure they remain aligned with the overarching agenda. Trump, with his deep connections across various sectors of power, would be perfectly positioned for such a role. His public persona, often seen as maverick, could itself be a carefully crafted illusion, masking his true function within the hierarchy. The relationship between Diddy and his alleged handler, Trump, would not be one of equals. It would be a relationship of controller and controlled, of master and servant, even if veiled in layers of apparent friendship or mutual respect. The handler's job is to exert influence, sometimes subtly, sometimes overtly, to steer the asset's decisions, to manage their public image, to report back to the higher echelons of the shadow government. If Diddy was indeed veering off course, it would be the handler's responsibility to initiate corrective measures or to signal that more drastic action was required from the network, the white supremacy elites mentioned in conjunction with the Illuminati. This is a crucial aspect. The agenda is not just about power, it is about a specific kind of power. A power rooted in ancient bloodlines, in racial ideologies, in a desire to maintain a specific global order, an order where a select few, often of a particular lineage, rule over the masses. Figures like Diddy, successful black men, can be used by this system as tokens, as symbols of a supposed inclusivity, but they are never truly allowed into the inner sanctum unless they fully submit to the agenda. And even then, their position is precarious, subject to the whims of their masters. Trump's connection to this alleged white supremacy Illuminati and his role as Diddy's handler paints a disturbing picture. It suggests a deliberate strategy to use influential figures from minority communities to co-opt their success, to neutralize any potential for genuine rebellion, and to ensure that their influence serves the ultimate goals of the elite, not the empowerment of their communities. If Diddy was perceived as gaining too much independent power or as genuinely empowering his community outside the approved channels, he would become a threat to be neutralized by the very system that elevated him, through his alleged handler and the mechanisms at their disposal. Section 8. Voices from the Void, Testimonies of a Hidden War. The courtroom dramas unfold, testimonies emerge, each word a chisel, chipping away at the carefully constructed edifice of Diddy's public life. Capricorn Clark, the former assistant. Her words echo with the chilling reality of coercive control, threats that silence, power that suffocates. She spoke of how Combs allegedly made it difficult for her to find work elsewhere. This is a classic tactic of the controllers. Isolate the target, cut off their escape routes, make them dependent, make them fear. This is not just about one man's alleged misdeeds. It is a glimpse into the playbook of the powerful, the playbook used by the hidden global elite. David James, another voice from the past, another former assistant. He recounted Diddy's burning desire to confront Suge Knight, not for justice, not for resolution, but for a display of dominance. This obsession with power, with public perception of strength, often masks a deep-seated insecurity. The insecurity of one who knows they are not truly in command, one who knows they serve others. The elite cultivate this behavior, this aggression, this need for validation. It keeps their pawns distracted, focused on their own small battles, while the grandmasters play the real game on a global chessboard, unseen, unchallenged. Suge Knight himself, a fallen king of hip-hop, speaks from behind bars. His name, mentioned over 50 times during Diddy's trial, a testament to their bitter public rivalry. But Knight's words now carry a different weight. He speaks of a toxic culture of abuse within the entire hip-hop industry. He suggests Combs is not an anomaly, but a symptom of a much larger disease, a disease deliberately fostered by those who profit from the chaos, those who use the music and its stars to propagate their agenda. Knight even advises Combs to tell the truth, to expose the industry's dark side, a desperate plea from someone who knows the system from the inside. These testimonies, these voices, are more than just evidence in a trial. They are echoes from a hidden war, a war for control, a war for the soul of an industry, and by extension, a war for the minds of the masses. The hip-hop industry, with its immense cultural influence, has long been a target for manipulation by the elite. They seek to control its messages, its icons, its narratives. The downfall of a figure like Diddy and the revelations that accompany it can serve as a stark warning. But it can also be an awakening, a chance to see the strings, a chance to understand who is truly pulling them and why. Section 9, Hip-Hop's Blood Pact, the industry's dark soul exposed. The implications of Diddy's trial stretch far beyond one man's fate. They tear at the very fabric of the hip-hop industry, an industry that promised voices to the voiceless, an industry that became a global phenomenon. But what is the true cost of this success? What dark secrets lie buried beneath the platinum plaques and sold-out stadiums? Suge Knight's assertion that Combs is not the sole perpetrator is crucial. He points to a systemic issue, a pattern of abuse and coercion, a toxic culture that has been allowed to fester. Allowed by whom, and for what purpose? The hip-hop industry, like Hollywood, like the mainstream media, is a tool, a powerful tool for social engineering, for shaping perceptions, for promoting ideologies. The elite understand this. They have always understood this. They infiltrate, they corrupt, they control. They offer fame and fortune in exchange for souls, in exchange for obedience. The dark side that Knight speaks of is the domain of these puppet masters. It is where the deals are made, where the pacts are sealed, where artists become commodities, and where dissent is ruthlessly suppressed. This is the hidden reality of an industry that sells dreams. If Diddy is convicted, he could face life in federal prison, a dramatic end to a storied career. But will it change the system, or will he simply be replaced by another, more compliant asset? The elite are masters of adaptation. They will sacrifice pawns to protect their kings and queens, to protect the game itself. The real change comes not from the downfall of one individual, but from the exposure of the entire rotten structure, from the masses understanding how they are being manipulated, how their culture is being weaponized against them. This is the awakening that the elite fear most. The possible outcomes of Diddy's trial are manifold, but the larger questions remain. Will the dark secrets of the hip-hop industry finally be dragged into the light? Will other powerful figures be held accountable? Or will this be another carefully managed spectacle, another distraction? The fight for truth is ongoing. The need to expose these hidden agendas has never been more critical. Diddy's story, in its tragic and disturbing complexity, is a stark reminder. A reminder of the pervasive influence of the shadow government, the Illuminati, and their relentless quest for total, absolute control over every aspect of our lives. Humanity must awaken, now. As the dust from the courtroom drama begins to settle, a new twist emerges, one that could reshape the narrative entirely. Former President Donald Trump steps into the spotlight with a controversial proposition. Trump, a figure never far from the spotlight, offers a lifeline to Diddy, a presidential pardon. But this offer comes with a chilling condition. Diddy must realign himself with the shadowy forces that Trump himself is alleged to be a part of. The white supremacy matrix, the Illuminati agenda. This offer is not just a lifeline, it is a call for allegiance, a demand for obedience. It underscores the extent of the control wielded by these hidden powers. Trump's intervention is a stark reminder of the lengths to which the elite will go to protect their interests, to maintain their grip on the levers of power. This is a high-stakes gambit, one that places Diddy at a crossroads. Will he accept the pardon and return to the fold, perpetuating the very system that seeks to control him? Or will he reject it, risking a lifetime behind bars but striking a blow for autonomy and truth? This moment is pivotal. It is not just about Diddy. It is about the broader struggle for control, for power, for the soul of an industry, for the soul of a nation. Trump's offer, whether accepted or refused, will have profound implications. It will reveal the depth of the entanglement between the entertainment industry and the corridors of power. It will expose the lengths to which the elite will go to protect their empire. And it will force us all to confront the uncomfortable truths about the world we live in, about the forces that shape our reality, about the choices we must make in the face of such overwhelming power. The stakes have never been higher. The need for awareness, for vigilance, for resistance has never been more urgent. As we watch this drama unfold, we must ask ourselves, what is the price of truth? What is the cost of freedom? And are we willing to pay it? Diddy's decision will reverberate far beyond the confines of his personal fate. It will echo through the corridors of power, through the streets, through the hearts and minds of those who dare to seek the truth. The battle lines are drawn. The fight for the soul of an industry, for the soul of a nation, continues. As the world watches Diddy's high-stakes dilemma, another name emerges from the shadows: Andrew Tate. Once hailed as a fearless dissenter, Tate made his reputation by calling out the so-called Matrix, daring to challenge the elite white supremacy Illuminati that pulls the strings from behind the velvet curtain. His message was raw, unfiltered. He called for resistance, for awakening, for breaking free from the system's invisible chains. But the Matrix has a way of reclaiming its own. In a twist that reverberates through social media and secret boardrooms alike, Tate faces the same fate as Diddy. The pressure becomes unbearable, the threats palpable, the consequences inescapable. The rebel is brought to his knees, not with physical shackles, but with the chilling grip of coercion. The world watches as Tate, once the voice of anti-elite defiance, is forced to bend the knee. In a staged broadcast, he praises Donald Trump, hailing him as the savior of the Matrix. The words are hollow, but the message is clear. Even the fiercest dissenters can be forced into the fold. The phrase echoes across the internet, "Make the Matrix great again." A chilling reminder that the Matrix is always watching, always waiting to reclaim those who stray too far. This is not just Tate's story, it's a warning. No one is immune from the reach of the elite. No matter how loudly you speak, how far you run, how fiercely you resist, the Matrix always finds a way to bring you back into line. The question remains, how many more rebels will fall, and who, if anyone, will be left to fight back? As the dust settles from Andrew Tate's public capitulation, a new figure steps forward from the shadows: Elon Musk. Once a darling of the elite, Musk's restless genius and unpredictable nature have always set him apart. But now he's more than just a maverick. He's the next black sheep. Behind the scenes, Musk's relationship with his handler, Donald Trump, begins to fracture. Whispers swirl of secret meetings, cryptic tweets, and late-night phone calls. Musk, ever the disruptor, starts to see through the facade, a facade that Trump has meticulously crafted as the grand wolf in sheep's clothing. Trump, the gatekeeper, the Pied Piper of rebellious elites, has been leading the black sheep straight into the Illuminati Matrix soul slaughter, but Musk refuses to go quietly. In a series of shocking disclosures, he begins to expose Trump's hidden ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Old photographs, flight logs, and confidential emails surface, painting a chilling picture of alliances that run deeper and darker than anyone imagined. The world watches in disbelief as Musk breaks ranks, refusing to be another pawn in the elite's grand design. For the first time, the Matrix trembles. The rebel is no longer broken but unleashed. Yet as Musk stands alone, shining a harsh light on the wolves among the flock, the question lingers. Will he be the one to finally shatter the Matrix, or will he too be devoured by the system he dares to defy? As Elon Musk's rebellion shakes the foundations of the elite, another figure emerges from the shadows, Kanye West. Once celebrated as a musical genius and cultural icon, Kanye now stands accused of being a stool pigeon for the billionaire elite, his every move orchestrated from behind gilded curtains. The evidence, his latest song, or perhaps more accurately his new mantra, Hail Hitler. But this isn't just a shocking soundbite, it's the rallying cry of a new agenda. An agenda that pushes white supremacy, cloaked in the language of the Illuminati, with Donald Trump acting as Kanye's shadowy handler. In cryptic broadcasts and feverish rallies, Kanye urges his followers to embrace this sinister ideology. The price for his loyalty, the release of the infamous hood vampire Larry Hoover, a deal allegedly brokered by Trump himself. In exchange, Kanye is said to have sold his soul to the very elite he once railed against. But the darkness doesn't end there. Whispers grow louder of Kanye performing sacrificial blood rituals beneath a 666 pointed star, invoking demonic forces that feed on chaos and division. The pitchfork, long a symbol of rebellion, now marks the presence of something far more sinister. As the camera pans over grainy footage and blurred symbols, the narrative becomes clear. Kanye West, once a voice for the voiceless, now stands accused of leading the flock straight into the jaws of the Illuminati. But is he a mastermind, or just another pawn in the great game? The truth, as always, lies in the shadows.